Hello, and welcome to Akron in Action, a City of Akron series where we take you behind the scenes of your local government. My name is Alexis King, and I am the Digital Media Manager for the Mayor's Office, and I am also your host. Today, I have with me Chris Ludle, our Service Director, and Emily Collins, our Environmental Services Manager. Do you guys want to take a second to introduce yourself?
Sure, Alexis. My name is Chris Ludle. I'm the Service Director for Mayor Malik. I've been in this position under the Mayor's Office for about 10 years, the Public Service Department. We have responsibilities of all the public works, the engineering, and the water and sewer bureaus, as you know.
Yeah, and you're a lifelong Akron resident, correct?
I sure am. Born and raised in North Hill. Been married for 43 years.
Wow,
we have 3 boys. We still live on North Hill. We have 2 grandchildren and 1 beautiful daughter-in-law.
Awesome. Thank you, Chris. All right, Emily, what about you?
Yeah, my name is Emily Collins, and I am the Environmental Services Manager within the Public Service Department for the City of Akron. I oversee the Akron Waterways Renewed initiative, which is a long-time initiative that has resulted in the betterment of the Cuyahoga River and Little Cuyahoga River and our canalway over the years. So it's a really exciting initiative. I stepped into the role after Pat Selman retired recently and have very, very big shoes to fill.
Yeah. So thank you both. I wanted to start today's conversation with a more fun question to get us rolling. So both of you are in positions that have a lot to do with the outdoors, though in very different ways. So we're really lucky to have such rich resources here when it comes to natural spaces. I'd love to hear from both of you. What are some of your favorite green and blue spaces in Akron?
Sure. As we recreate, my wife and I, the towpath trail is unbelievable. I mean, it runs from north to south through Akron. You don't know if you are in a City of Akron park, you're in a Metro Parks park, or eventually you end up in the National Park. And it's all connected with our river. So whether it's the Ohio and Erie Canal, or it's the Little Cuyahoga River, or the Cuyahoga River, it's been fabulous, and it's so enjoyable to be out in those spaces at no cost. It's a free thing to do in our whole area.
Yeah, it's hard to choose. It's really hard to choose the favorite. I'll give you 2. So I also very much enjoy the towpath, and when I'm on the towpath, I really am kind of drawn to Summit Lake. It's a gem. It's an absolute gem, and I've enjoyed seeing how we've thought about community involvement in the development around Summit Lake.
Yeah, there's been so much investment there. It's a really, really beautiful spot.
Yeah, and then when we want hills as runners, we always go to, Big Bend or somewhere in Sand Run. So
Yeah.
I love Sand Run.
Yeah, Sand Run's a great spot. I live close to Sand Run, and then also Schneider Park is one of our favorites. We live very close to Schneider Park, and it's just I love how many neighborhood parks we have here. I've never lived somewhere that had so many parks, which is also a really awesome, free, again, Chris, like you said, space. Yes. Thank you both. So recently, the city announced a modest phased rate increase for our sewer rates over the next 4 years. So before we really dig into what that rate increase is, all of those specifics, can one of you just explain a little bit about what the Akron Waterways Renewed program is?
Yeah, Akron Waterways Renewed is actually an initiative that grew out of a mandate. It's a mandate that's not unlike the mandates that we've seen across, especially the Northeast United States, where municipalities have aging sewer infrastructure that's combined. It takes sewage and rainwater, and when a rain event occurs, it overflows into the river by design. So that design is something that needed updated in these 100-year-old systems across the nation. And the way the US EPA and state environmental protection agencies addressed that was to go through the routine consent decrees with every entity that needed to go about updating their systems. So we took this modernization mandate and really made it into a commitment. And it's a commitment to public health, it's a commitment to clean water, and it's also a commitment to fiscal responsibility. So that's what Akron Waterways Renewed is all about. It's making sure that we're thinking about our waterway renewal as a full community development project.
Chris, can you talk a little bit to where we're at in this project and what benefits have we seen so far?
Sure. So when we entered the consent decree in 2014, there was 26 major projects. We've completed 24 of them, which is amazing. I mean, but to do that, we've spent over $1 billion. And number 25 is a tunnel that's over a mile long. It's 180 feet below grade. It's 16-foot diameter, and we're over halfway done. And next year, it will be completed and will be put into service. But we have seen the benefits from this. Every time it rained in the evening, I was in the sewer department 15 years ago. We would get called out at night. Or during the day. Those calls for service have dropped by 45%. How did we achieve that? Because every mile of our sewer system is TV'd and cleaned every 5 years. That was part of the mandate. And it is such an environmental benefit, and it's a benefit to our system. It's a benefit to our community, and we have so many less overflows. We've reduced our overflows in the river near 1 billion gallons, which is amazing because now we can store it and send it back for full treatment.
Yeah, 50 years ago, this river caught on fire, right? Not in Akron, but, same river. And now people are coming from all over to come to the Cuyahoga River to fish, to tube, to just enjoy these outdoor spaces.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we have engineers in the city who will tell you as they're working on these projects, as they're overseeing them, that they can see the physical change in the waterway. So I think we've all seen it. We've all seen, the monumental change from the burning river to what we have now. And people often don't acknowledge that Akron contributed to that burning river, but, we're at the bottom of the U. And our flow absolutely goes down to Cleveland. So, the benefits have been tremendous. Sturgeon are being reintroduced. We have our annual blue heron homecoming, and that has a lot to do with not just blue heron, the heron rookeries on City of Akron property by the sewage plant, and we've noticed that they're coming back much more frequently now. So we've seen the change, and not only is it an environmental change, people are coming back to the river. So it's really been a phenomenal thing to experience.
I mean, the bald eagles and the nesting along the river, they wouldn't be there if the river hadn't come back, if the fish weren't back. And to see bald eagles in Northeast Ohio 20 years ago, that was unheard of. And you see nests now 2 minutes from downtown Akron. It's amazing.
Yeah. When we hear about the Akron Waterways Renewed initiative, a lot of times that comes with the words consent decree. So can one of you explain kind of what the consent decree for the city of Akron is?
Yeah, the consent decree, those are words that are often used, and I think we've lost sight of what it actually does mean. A consent decree is literally an agreement that's lodged in court, and it's overseen by a judge. In our case, it's a federal judge, and the federal U.S. EPA is involved, the Ohio EPA. And we were one of many older cities that went through this process of greater oversight to make sure that we could get to the point on a schedule of capturing and treating our wastewater overflows. So it's across the Northeast United States that these consent decrees came to pass. But it's literally just an agreement that's overseen by a judge and has the force of law because it's entered in a court. So we're under all these deadlines to make sure there are about 26 major projects that we have to complete to get to the point where we're collecting all of our typical year combined sewer overflows.
Gotcha. And how many of those projects have we completed so far?
24.
Okay, so 2 more to go.
The 25th. The 25th is the Northside Interceptor Tunnel, and it is under construction right now. I think we're over 40% complete now, right?
Actually, we're over 55% complete,
Okay.
And that is a storage conveyance tunnel. It's 16 foot. This over 16-foot diameter, 120 feet below the earth, that we are constructing in North Hill, and it is about a mile long. So we have a crew. The machine was constructed in Germany, sent over on a barge, unloaded, reconstructed here, right in North Hill, and it's well on its way, and it will be completed by the end of the year. So we're very excited. That'll put us, the project completed wrap up won't be till next summer, but that'll be number 25 of 26.
Gotcha. Thank you both. That background is really helpful to put into context kind of why this project is so important, both from the environmental and the public health side, but also to note that the completion of this project is legally required by the city. So, Chris, can you explain a little bit about what the proposed rate changes are?
Sure. Obviously, when you talk about tunnels and you talk about all these projects, 25 of 26, we have spent over $1 billion, and over $1 billion over 10 years. These rate increases that are needed now are to take us to the end. In 2013, 2014, 2015, the city put in some huge rate increases, which was a burden to our residents because everything we're talking about is on the backs of our ratepayers. These are mandates that we must complete, as Emily said, but these are also unfunded mandates. But what we have done is be able to leverage some amendments. But what the rate increase is going to look like to our resident is we're going to put a fixed fee every month on every account, which is $5 based on their meter size. So it doesn't matter how much water you use because your sewer's billed through how much water goes through your water meter. That's how, because there's not a sewer meter. But it's going to be a fixed fee. It's going to be no different than the other utilities do. So the difference is it's a lot less than those other utilities.
Gotcha. So what is that fixed fee going to be
It's
then?
going to be $5 a month, and that will not start till next year, first quarter. And then that fixed fee will stay in place all of 26 and all of 27. And then what will happen in 28, that $5 will increase to $10 on every residential bill, based on meter size, and then in 2028, it will increase. It will increase in 2028 to $10, and then in 2029, that $10 will increase to $12.50.
Okay. And then is there any percentage increase for
Yes,
water?
there is going to be a 5.3% increase on every unit you use. So when we talk about this, because we have small users, we have large users, but the average user in Akron uses about 4 units of water.
And what is considered a unit of water?
A unit of water is 748 gallons. So it's 1 HCF, 100 cubic feet is 748 gallons of water. That's 1 unit. So every 748 gallons that goes through your meter, we bill you for 1 unit. And the average customer, like I said, is approximately 4 units. So
Gotcha.
what's going to happen is, based on that 4 units next year, there'll be the $5 increase. There'll be the 5.3% on that rate. Currently, it's $10.66 per unit. So the average user next year is going to go up about $7.24 a month. And you could break that down to like $1.80 a week.
So I just want to reiterate. So the average user is going to see about a $7.24 increase per month beginning in 2026. I've got that right?
That's exactly right.
Okay. So you mentioned the last time that we increased rates. How long ago was that?
That was about a decade, about 10 years ago, the last increase that our residents or our commercial customers have seen.
Yeah. And I mean, obviously, price changes have increased a lot.
Our costs and everything has gone up about 36%. Over that 10 years. And it's everything. It's not only the projects, it's everything that goes into maintaining that system. It's all the chemicals, it's all the other ancillary things that have to happen. Our labor rates have gone up over the last 10 years. And we've been able to stave off any other rate increases because we've tried to do some amendments to the consent decree, but now it's time that we must unfortunately have to raise rates. And it's a small increase compared to what it was 10 years ago.
Gotcha. And so that brings up a really good question of how has this whole project primarily been funded? You mentioned a little bit earlier, but are there any state or federal grants that have been used to pay for it?
Not straight out grants that have funded these. What we have leveraged, and it's between our finance team, our engineering team, our legal team, we have gone after low interest loans through the state of Ohio. So when we signed on to the consent decree, the mandate, every loan that you would get was either 20 or 30 years. Some of those have now been extended to 45 years. And we are also fortunate to get some 0% interest loans. So no money's ever free, but to extend those out for a long period at a low interest has really helped, especially when you're talking about a tunnel that costs $300 million.
Yeah, that's no small chunk of change for sure. So you mentioned, kind of restructuring the consent decree a little bit and renegotiating, and how that has saved taxpayer dollars. Can you elaborate a little bit on that?
Sure. It took us a few years to set up the program to what we were required to do and mandated to do, and we signed that in 2014. But almost immediately, we entered into what we call the integrative plan, which we were able to incrementally look at each one of those projects, all 26, and how can we optimize those or change those for a better or the same environmental benefit, but to help lessen the burden to our residents. And some of those were, we were supposed to build a concrete basin down by the dog park. It was a 1 million gallon basin, a concrete basin. Well, we were able to do green, like separate some of that storm and combination, put a conveyance pipe that you see right over the river, which saved us about $1 million, and we didn't have to build that structure, and there's no long-term maintenance compared to that concrete basin. That's just one example, but we have done some things where we've taken property that was vacant. We've never taken anybody's house for something like this, and we've turned it into a green project where we separate the sanitary and the stormwater, and we've turned that into like a natural cleaning where it flows, the storm flows through those areas and reduces all those solids before it discharges back to the river.
Yeah, so beautifying those spaces, but with a function.
Yes.
Yeah, which is, I'm sure the neighbors appreciated that. So in total, right, all of those amendments, they've saved our ratepayers over $215 million. So that is, again, a huge savings.
Yeah, and people think, oh, you saved that kind of money. Unfortunately, we did reduce that burden. We always call this program, it's less unaffordable, okay? Because we didn't have the money. It was ratepayers that we didn't have to raise rates. So in the last 10 years, we have staved off those rates by doing these amendments and saving that $200 million.
Gotcha. That makes sense. Thank you, Chris. I think it's important to acknowledge that the city understands that any increase these days is difficult for our residents. We know that other costs are also rising, like the people's electric bills, our groceries. Has the city taken any steps to provide any discounts with this change?
You know, it's one of the first things that we started thinking about as the rate study indicated that we were at a point where we needed to consider an increase. So like our water program, drinking water program, I should say, we are now putting a discount forward where not only homeowners who are on HEAP or homestead can receive a discount, but also tenants. So tenants are newly able to take advantage of a 40% discount that we're going to provide across the board for people who are eligible for HEAP or homestead. So they have to apply for that. Some of them are already part of it, and if they are for the water side, they'll be automatically enrolled in the sewer side. But yeah, a 40% discount actually means that people whose income is below 175% of the federal poverty line, they will be able to actually receive not just a discount, but their bill's going to be less than it is in 2025.
Wow.
Yeah. So we're very happy to be able to do that and structure the rate across the board in a way that allows that discount.
Yeah, that's huge. And, for folks who are listening, and if you're not sure if you're eligible or if you are eligible and you want to apply, we're going to include a link for that in our episode description. So bottom line, what do you want our listeners who are Akron customers to take away from this episode about this project?
Well, I mean, as an Akron resident, living here my whole life, we want to make this we have to make this a sustainable project, right? We have to run this business just like you mentioned the electric and the gas companies. And if you look at their fixed rates, they're so much higher than ours. But they're in the business of reporting to their stakeholders, right? We are not. We just want to maintain this system to provide the same benefit or a greater benefit to keep that river clean, to keep their homes, health, and safety. Since we've started this project, Alexis, our calls for service have gone down by 45%. When it used to rain, we were getting called out at night. Okay, I was in the sewer department before. Okay, we don't have those calls for service. So they've seen the benefit, but it is a burden. We understand. And we want to lessen that burden. That's why we've done this incrementally over the next 4 years to really show that we're trying to do our best and not put a big burden on them.
The benefits of this program aren't just seen in your home. They're seen in our community spaces. So it's a public health benefit. It's the blue and green corridors that we all love. It really is kind of the future of Akron as a whole. That's what we're investing in. And it just happens to be sewer related. But yeah, I hope that people can see that we have been very, very thoughtful about how we're rolling this out. It's a modest increase every year, the 5.3% on the volumetric fee. So how much you use is only a 5.3% increase. That's in cents. It's not necessarily in dollars per unit. And we're doing that over time in a way that we think reduces, the sting. Same with the flat fee. So yeah, we know that we need to invest in water, health, our future, and we think we've seen the benefits of it already. So we just need to keep it moving and make sure that we're able to continue to pay those bills so that all of us can see the benefits.
Yeah, and I really appreciate what you said about the future of Akron. I was thinking, earlier before we filmed this, of our last episode was about youth opportunity. And you can't talk about providing opportunities for youth if they don't have clean water to begin with, right? And they are the ones who are going to be inheriting our green and blue spaces, in the future. And so the work that we're doing today is going to pay off for generations to come.
Right.
Which is kind of crazy to think about a little bit of, the work that we're doing today. It is going to outlive all of us.
Yeah, we planned this is a plan for the next 100 years. And that's literally what we designed for in each of these giant infrastructure projects. So this is the 100-year plan for Akron's waterway future.
So in summary, rates are increasing because?
Rates are increasing because of this sewer system that was created 100 years ago. I mean, to simplify it, every time you flush your toilet and every time it rained, they went into the same pipe. In these heavy storms, that overflowed right to the river. So can you imagine what you flushed on your toilet and see toilet paper going into the Cauga River? That's not good. That's why we are capturing all this. After this tunnel's done, the one we're doing right now, we're going to be able to hold back 60 million gallons of this overflow. And then when the storm's over, release it back to the plant for full treatment, and it doesn't go in the river.
That's awesome. I don't know about you guys, but I don't want sewage in my water. That gives me like a full body ick. So just thank you both so much for your time today. This was a really informative episode. I feel like I learned so much. I hope our listeners also learned a lot. And if you enjoyed this episode, please rate, review, and subscribe, and make sure to share it with your friends. We'll see you next time on Akron in Action.
Hey Akron, this is Mayor Shamus Malik. Thanks for tuning in to our Akron in Action podcast. Each month, we're taking you behind the scenes with our city government and hearing from folks who are doing amazing work to move our city forward. So hope you can tune in each month, and thank you so much for following us along this journey.